You know, musicians, they keep worrying that AI is going to take their jobs. But I went to a karaoke night recently and something hit me. This place was packed. People were drinking, laughing, cheering for their friends, and they were having a great time. And, I thought 20 years ago, this might have been a live band. Four musicians have now been replaced by one person, a laptop, and a microphone. And here's the uncomfortable part: the audience, they might actually be having more fun. But I also think there's something live bands can learn from karaoke that can actually help them compete. And I'll show you exactly what I mean later in this video. Maybe AI isn't maybe it's not the biggest threat to working musicians. Maybe karaoke, they already beat it to the punch. And here's a few reasons why. For years, live music worked a certain way. The band played, the audience watched. They might dance, they might clap, they might even sing along. But basically, the musicians, they were the entertainment, and everybody else was there to watch them. That model is changing. Today, people don't want to just watch anymore. They want to participate. Think about the whole social media thing. People don't just watch celebrities anymore. They make their own videos. They don't just listen to opinions. They post their own. They don't want to just watch entertainment. They want to be part of the entertainment. And let's be honest, karaoke fits perfectly into that world. A live band, they say, hey, watch us, And karaoke says, okay, it's your turn. And that's a completely different experience. And they don't even have to be a good singer. Sometimes the person that sings the worst, they create the most fun. Everybody laughs, everybody cheers, and somebody gets dragged to the microphone by their friends. The whole room starts singing the chorus, and suddenly the audience, they're not watching just entertainment. They are the entertainment. That energy is totally different. And if you've played in bands long enough, you've probably experienced this. You're on stage, you're playing your heart out. Meanwhile, half the room's talking. Somebody's watching the game on TV. A couple, having a conversation or arguing at the bar. And maybe three people are actually paying attention to the band. You sit there, you're thinking, to yourself, I'm killing it tonight, right? But you know what? You're not killing it. The audience, they're not necessarily there to see you. And that's always been one of the problems with local live music. Karaoke flips that relationship completely. When somebody's friend gets up to sing, suddenly the whole table is watching. When somebody tries to hit some of those huge notes and misses it by a mile, the people, they up there, they still cheering and clapping. When somebody starts singing a song everybody knows, the whole room joins in. It's interactive. It's social. And most importantly, it's personal. They're not watching some stranger on stage. That's their friend up there, their coworker, their husband, their wife. Hey, maybe it's even you. And that creates a kind of emotional investment that a local band has to work very, very hard to create. And then there's the whole business side. Let's look at it from the venue owner's perspective. And musicians, I know you guys don't like this part. No, I know you don't, but a bar owner, he ain't in the music business. He's in the business of selling drinks, food, and keeping people in the room. That's his business model. That's how he pays his rent. So let's say you're running a neighborhood bar. You got two choices. Choice number one, hire a four-piece band. Now you've got four musicians, they need to get paid. So you got to pay them, because they got equipment. They got setup, they got sound check, They might even have a sound guy. And after all that, after you pay that money out, there's still no guarantee that people are going to like the band. It's not, Or you hire one karaoke host. One person comes in with a laptop, microphones, and access to thousands of songs that people already know. And instead of hiring the entertainment, your customers now are the entertainment. From a business standpoint, that is incredibly attractive. And this isn't about whether the karaoke host is more talented than the musicians. That ain't the point. The point is whether the room is full. The point is, are people staying? Are they buying more drinks and food? Are they having fun? And if that answer is yes, then as a venue owner, you have accomplished exactly what you set out to do because you need to pay that rent. And karaoke, it's got an unfair advantage, which is a huge advantage for karaoke over live bands. The songs that they play, the songs are already hits. So think about that. As a local band, you may know 40 or 50 songs. A karaoke system, it's got thousands. One person comes up and sings Prince. Next person comes up and sings Journey. Then somebody comes up and sings Aretha Franklin. Somebody got enough guts to go up and do Bruno Mars. And before the night is over, somebody's grandma may even get up and sing some Patsy Cline. Every age group gets something. Every musical taste gets something. And all those songs come with something a local band playing original music doesn't have. Memories. The opening notes start playing, and people immediately know the song. Maybe it reminds them of high school, or a relationship, a wedding, a breakup, a divorce, driving around with friends when they were in their 20s, The emotional connection, it's already there. See, the karaoke singer, he ain't got to earn it. The song earned it years ago. And original music, you got even a bigger problem. And this is where things get even tougher for guys that want to go out and play original music. Imagine, you're hanging out in the bar with friends, a band starts playing an original song that they've never heard before. It could be a great song. But right now, they don't know the melody, they don't know the words, they don't know the chorus. They don't have any history with it. Now compare that with somebody getting up to sing a song everybody in the room has known for 25 years. The first few notes play and the entire room goes, oh, I love that song. That's tough to compete with. It really is. Your original music has to build an emotional connection, whereas karaoke walks in with the connection already built. And that's one reason I don't think this is simply about whether live musicians are talented enough. It's not about talent. The entire entertainment environment, it has changed. It's not the same anymore. Now I know what some of y'all are already thinking. They go, you're going, hey, come on, Henry, that's bull. Karaoke, it can't compete with a live band. I agree with you. A great band at the top of the game, it's absolutely incredible. When the rhythm section is locked in and the singer's on fire and the room is packed and the audience is hanging on every note, it's nothing like it. Karaoke doesn't replace that. But here's the problem. Not every band is that band. We've all seen bands that are mediocre. If you play long enough, you probably had a few mediocre nights yourself. I know I have, I might not have been having a good night as a singer. The band may not have been connecting, the set list, they ain't working, even though we redrew it, maybe the audience, it just ain't interested. Live music can be a 10 out of 10, but it can also be a 3. Karaoke, it don't have to be a 10. It just has to be fun. And that's a much easier promise to keep. Because people going out on a Friday night aren't always looking for artistic greatness. Sometimes they just want to have a couple of drinks, laugh with their friends, sing a song, and go home feeling like they had a good night. And karaoke is great at delivering exactly that. So when you see that sign outside that club that says karaoke live tonight, is it actually taking musicians' jobs? In some situations, yes. Not because people stopped liking musicians and not because live music suddenly became irrelevant. It's because one karaoke host can sometimes do the economic job that used to require several musicians. So that's job displacement. And here's the irony. Musicians spend enormous amounts of time arguing back and forth about artificial intelligence, this whole AI thing, back and forth. They're worried that someday a machine is going to replace them. Meanwhile, the guy with the laptop and the microphone has already been doing it, and he's been doing it for years. No AI required, And that's why I think musicians are sometimes looking in the wrong direction. You guys looking over here when the real opportunity is over there. So here's where the story changes. Before y'all start declaring war on karaoke, there's another, side to this, because I don't actually think karaoke is necessarily the enemy. It might even be a gateway into music. Think about somebody who has never performed in public. Maybe their friends convinced them to sing one song. They're terrified. You can see it in their face, right? But they get through it. People clap. And in their mind, they think, you know what? That was actually a lot of fun. It really was. Maybe they start singing more. Maybe they pick up a guitar and learn guitar. Maybe they start writing songs. Maybe they develop a whole new appreciation for people who perform professionally. Here's a famous example for you of just how far this can go. Before Mary J. Blige became a superstar, a recording of her singing Anita Baker's Caught Up in the Rapture in a karaoke booth, found its way into the hands of people in the music business. See what can happen, That little performance, it helped open doors. So karaoke doesn't necessarily destroy musicianship. Sometimes it might actually introduce people. So here's a real lesson for musicians, and this is the part I teased at the beginning. Instead of complaining that karaoke is taking gigs, maybe you should ask, what is karaoke giving people that I'm not? Participation, familiarity, community, a sense of belonging, and more importantly, a chance to be part of the experience. So maybe the answer isn't to fight karaoke. Maybe your band should borrow one of the best ideas. I'm not saying turn the whole night into a karaoke night, but what if during one of your sets, you created a short audience participation segment? Bring up one or two people from the crowd, and always try to pick somebody that can't sing. You can do it, and let them choose from a few familiar covers that they sing. The band, you play behind them. So think about what happens next. Now you've got the excitement of karaoke, but you've still got the energy and the musicianship of a live band. If somebody's friend gets on stage, suddenly the whole table is involved. They filming it, man. They're cheering. They're singing along. Other people in the room start paying attention because they know maybe they could be next. Maybe they could get a turn. See, you haven't disappeared as a band. In fact, you become more important because now you're giving somebody the experience of singing with a real live band behind them. And that could become a memorable part of the night. Now, you don't have to do it for an hour. No, maybe one, maybe two songs, and then you go right back into your regular show. I guarantee you, they're gonna be listening in. They're gonna want that attention in, because for those few minutes, the audience isn't just watching the band; they're part of the experience. And I think that points to a bigger lesson. Maybe audiences should be encouraged to sing along more. Maybe bands should talk to the crowd more. Maybe there should be moments that break down that invisible wall between the stage and the audience. Maybe musicians need to stop thinking only about performing songs and start thinking about creating experiences. Because karaoke, man, it figured something out that the rest of entertainment has figured out too. People, they don't want to always admire the person in the spotlight. No, sometimes they want the spotlight. That's right, And if a live band can give them a little bit of that without sacrificing what makes my live music special, that could be a pretty powerful combination. It really can. So the next time a musician tells me that they're worried AI is going to take their job, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say maybe. But hey, I want you to look around, man. Karaoke has already gotten there first. AI might change music dramatically. It may change songwriting. It may change production, of course, and recording, and even the way music is performed. But karaoke, it don't need AI to replace a band. It just needed a microphone and a laptop and an audience that wanted to participate. And that's the real lesson. So live bands say, hey, come watch us perform. Karaoke says, come perform with us. Maybe the smartest bands going forward will figure out how to do a little bit of both. Because for a lot of people looking for a fun night out, participation may be just as important as performance. So what do you think? Is karaoke actually taking work away from live musicians? And if you're playing in a band, would you try bringing a couple of audience members up to sing with you during one of your sets? I think that could make for an interesting night. I really do. Matter of fact, I've seen it, and it does work. There's a place around here that, I mean, it's just, they just booming with doing that. But anyway, whatever I said, let me know in the comments. And if you're a musician trying to understand how technology and changing audiences are reshaping the business, subscribe to the channel if you like what I see, And if you do, I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.